I've covered so many potential conflicts over the years, but this one feels different. Because today we're going to walk through what a full-blown war between Iran and Israel could actually look like. This is a fictional scenario, of course, but it's based on very real tensions, and it's a look at how quickly everything could unravel.
So, to really understand the human side of this, let's just do a little thought experiment. I want you to imagine you're on vacation. You're in Dubai with your family. Life is good. You have absolutely no idea that the entire region is about to explode.
You wake up super early to catch a flight home. Everything seems completely normal. The city's quiet, you get to the airport, board the plane, and take off right on time. You feel that sense of relief like, okay, we're heading home.
But then, a couple of hours into the flight, the pilot comes on. There's a delay. And then they drop the bombshell. A massive military operation has just started right where you were. It's not until you finally land, safe and sound, that you see the news. You see pictures of the very airport you just left, filled with smoke. Utter chaos. And then the real gut punch? Imagine some of your family were on a later flight. Theirs got canceled. They're trapped, stuck in the middle of a war zone. It's a terrifying thought, right? And it just shows you how fast ordinary people like you and me, can get caught in the crossfire. Okay, so let's zoom out and look at the big picture of this hypothetical attack. While our imaginary family is safely in the air, the UAE is getting pummeled. You'd see videos flooding social media, drones being shot down right next to the Burj Khalifa, and missile debris hitting the famous Burj Al Arab hotel, sparking huge fires. But here's the wild part. In the middle of all that chaos, the UAE's air defense would be performing miracles. Just look at these numbers. Out of more than 1,000 missiles fired, almost all of them could be intercepted. And drones? They might try to send hundreds, but an even greater number could be taken down. It shows you just how advanced these defense systems are. So you have to ask, why all the chaos in the UAE? Well, in our scenario, it's all collateral damage, because the UAE was never the main target. The real target was Iran. We'd be looking at a massive, coordinated attack by the US and Israel. Let's call it Operation Epic Fury. And according to US officials in this scenario, this isn't just a one-off strike. No, this is a multi-day campaign. The goal? To, and I quote, destroy their missile industry to the ground. Bombs would be falling all across Iran. But the single most shocking event, the one that would change everything, would be a direct hit on the compound of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And then Iranian state TV would make the announcement that would stun the world. He was dead, killed in his office, along with his daughter, his son-in-law, and even his granddaughter. And the reaction to this? Well, it would tear the country in two. You would literally see some people dancing in the streets, celebrating the end of a dictator, and in those same streets you'd see others openly weeping, mourning the loss of their leader. It would be a country at war with itself. All right, so Iran's leader is dead. You know a response is coming. And in this scenario, it would be fast, it would be furious, and it would be aimed at not just Israel, but at American allies all across the Gulf. They might call it Operation True Promise 4, and they launch a wave of missiles at dozens of U.S. military bases. You'd see videos of smoke pouring from the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, a direct hit on the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. And here's the scary part. They wouldn't stop at military targets. They'd hit civilian areas, hotels in Dubai, international airports, causing absolute panic. But of all the terrible things that happen in a war, the worst reports are always about the children. In a city like Minab, Iran, a bomb could hit a girls' primary school during the day. An estimated 100 children could be killed. It's the unbearable, tragic cost of a conflict like this. Now it is so easy to see all of this as a faraway problem, something happening on the other side of the world. But the truth is, the ripple effects from a war like this would hit home for everyone, almost immediately, and especially for a country like India. Here's why. This number right here. 10 million. That's how many Indians are living and working in these Gulf countries. These are our friends, our relatives. In a real-world war, they would be right there in the line of fire. And then there's the economy. This chart says it all, really. More than half of all the crude oil India imports comes right through the Strait of Hormuz. That's the narrow channel of water that would be at the absolute heart of this conflict. So the bottom line is this. If Iran closes that strait, and you can bet they would, it is what experts call India's nightmare scenario,
We're talking oil supplies cut off, fuel prices going through the roof, and massive, crippling inflation for the entire country.
So the big question is, how could we even get to this point? How could things escalate so unbelievably fast, especially when sometimes it feels like peace might just be around the corner? Well, let's look at a timeline that could lead us right to the brink.
It could start with something like an economic collapse inside Iran, which leads to huge protests, and then a violent government crackdown. Then, just as it seems like diplomacy might work, the rug gets pulled out. I mean, can you imagine? One day a mediator says a peace deal is within reach, and the very next day the bombs start falling. It would later come out the attack was planned months ago, which would make any diplomatic visits around that time, like a hypothetical trip by India's prime minister to Israel, look, well, incredibly controversial.
And for anyone watching this unfold, the whole justification for the war would sound eerily familiar. It would feel like we're watching a repeat of the playbook used for the invasion of Iraq, way back in 2003.
The official reason, of course, would be to liberate the Iranian people. You'd see messages just like this real one from Donald Trump telling Iranians, when we are finished, take over your government. It is the classic language of regime change.
But we've all seen this script play out before, haven't we? A foreign power invades to get rid of a brutal dictator, Saddam Hussein in Iraq, Gaddafi in Libya. But instead of the promised peace and democracy, the country falls apart. It becomes more unstable, life gets worse for regular people, and that power vacuum, it becomes a breeding ground for new and even more dangerous terrorist groups. And this right here shows you that tragic gap between the goal and the reality. The stated goals are always so noble, right? Freedom, democracy, peace. But what history has shown us time and time again is that the outcome is often the complete opposite: instability, chaos, and terror. And so that leaves us with the single most important question in this entire thought experiment. If a war like this were to actually happen, would this time be any different? Or would the world just be watching, once again, as another failed state is created in the Middle East, with consequences that would haunt us all for decades?